The first thing I remember is the beeping. Slow, steady, the smell of antiseptic. I woke up in the ICU, my head feeling like it had been split open and stitched back together. Which, I guess, it had. Aneurysm. That's what they said. I fumbled for my phone on the tray. The screen lit up. 72, missed calls. My heart stopped, thinking of my kids. But they were all from my neighbor, Mr. Henderson. Not one call from my family. And then I saw it. A notification from my bank. A Zelle request from my mother, Cynthia, $4,500. The note attached had just 2 words, venue deposit, urgent. Have you ever been the only responsible one in a family full of takers? That one person who's completely invisible? Right up until the moment someone needs money. Let me know your story down in the comments. It didn't start in the ICU. It started 48 hours earlier. At my desk, it felt like a lightning bolt went off behind my right eye. A pain so sharp, so blinding. I just fell. I remember the cold floor against my cheek and the sound of my own voice, distant, talking to a 911 operator. My next clear memory is the emergency room, fluorescent lights, the smell of bleach, and a doctor leaning over me, his face grim. "Olivia," he said, "you have a significant brain aneurysm. We need to operate immediately." My mind didn't even process the brain aneurysm part. It just went straight to my kids, 9 and 5, home alone. My neighbor, Mr. Henderson, a kind retired man, had found them playing in the front yard. Confused because mommy wasn't answering, they were wheeling my gurney toward the surgical wing. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely type. I opened the family group chat. "I have a brain aneurysm." I texted, "I'm going into emergency surgery right now. The kids are at home with Mr. Henderson. Please. Someone go. Please." I sent it, and I watched, one by one, the read receipts popped up. Read by Cynthia. Read by Mark. Read by Megan. Read by Aiden. All of them, and then? Nothing. Just absolute, deafening silence. I stared at the screen, my blood turning to ice. No, oh my God. No, which hospital? No, we're on our way. Nothing. I was still staring at that silent screen when a nurse started prepping my arm. I don't know why. Maybe just muscle memory. I tapped on Instagram. It opened to the last thing I'd been looking at. My sister Megan's feed. A new story had just been posted. It wasn't a text. It was a video. The thumping bass of music so loud I could almost feel it. A sea of people. Flashing lights. My sister Megan. Grinning. Spinning in a circle. Holding up a bright blue VIP wristband to the camera. She was at the ACL Music Festival. The caption, in bright pink letters, just said, "Number best life. Number blessed." My breath caught. It was a reflex. I tapped the corner of the screen to see who had viewed and liked it. Liked by Cynthia. Liked by Mark. They weren't just ignoring me. They hadn't just missed the message. They saw my plea for help. They saw that my kids were alone and their daughter was going into brain surgery. And they looked at it, put their phones down, and hit like on a party picture. That was it. That was the moment. It wasn't just a snap. It was a severing. In that sterile hallway, under those buzzing lights, something inside me went cold. The people I had spent my entire life trying to save didn't just drop the rope. They cut it, set it on fire, and went to a concert. I wish I could say that Zelle request was a shock. But the truth is, it was just the loudest. My whole life, I've been the fixer. I'm Olivia, 36, a graphic designer, and in my family, that title just means the one with the stable job. It means the one who will handle it. It's a role I never auditioned for, but one I perfected. I remember, just last year, my younger brother Aiden, who is 23 and what my mom calls a perpetual student, decided he was going to be a programmer. For the 3rd time, he needed tuition for another coding boot camp. I paid it. When my sister Megan, the 32-year-old lifestyle influencer, decided to quit her marketing job to find her authentic self, she couldn't make the deposit on her new Craxus trendy loft apartment. I co-signed the lease and paid the first 3 months. When my father, Mark needed $12,000 for dental implants. He was too proud to ask. My mother just called me, crying about how much pain he was in. I transferred the money. 2 weeks later, at a family dinner, I heard him bragging to my uncle that his premium insurance covered the whole thing. I just stirred my coffee. For the past 6 months, the family's entire focus has been on Megan's newest venture, a curated lifestyle cafe. It was a ridiculous, beautiful-looking money pit, and I was the assumed, unspoken primary investor. The $4.500 request. That wasn't random. It was the first installment. It took me years, and honestly, a lot of therapy, to understand the dynamic. It's a classic, toxic family system. I wasn't just the responsible one. I was the designated scapegoat. I was the one built to carry the burdens. I carried the financial weight. I absorbed the family's anxiety. And when things went wrong, I was the one who was cold or didn't care enough if I didn't fix it immediately. My siblings, Megan and Aiden, they were the golden children. They were allowed to have big dreams, to be reckless, to fail upwards. Their job was to have potential. My job was to pay for it. When you're the scapegoat, you're conditioned to believe that your only value is your utility. You're not a person, you're a function. You're not a daughter or a sister, you're a resource. Lying in that hospital bed, staring at that Zelle request next to 72 missed calls from my neighbor, I finally understood. They didn't see a person in crisis. They saw a resource that was suddenly, inconveniently, offline. The first person I saw when I woke up properly was Sarah, my best friend from college. She was asleep in that awful beige vinyl chair next to the bed. Her hair a mess. Her laptop balanced on her knees. When she saw my eyes open, she just smiled. Like me being in the ICU was the most normal thing in the world. "Hey," she whispered. "You scared us." "The kids? They're fine," she said immediately. Cutting off my panic, "Daniel's with them. Mr. Henderson is a saint. By the way, he stayed until Daniel got there. Had already fed them dinner. Daniel took them to school this morning. They're safe. They're okay." I just started to cry. Not loud sobs. Just silent, hot tears that I couldn't stop. "Hey, what's wrong? Is it the pain I can call the nurse?" "No." I managed, swiping at my face. "It's just, you're here. You came. You and Daniel. You're here." Sarah's face softened. "Of course we're here. Liv. That's what you do. You show up. That's what you do." Her words just hung in the air. That simple, obvious truth. You show up. My family hadn't, but Sarah and Daniel, and Mr. Henderson, they had. Without question, without a ledger of past favors, they just showed up. That kindness, that simple decency, felt like a spotlight, illuminating the dark, empty space where my family should have been. It didn't just make me sad anymore. It made me resolved. "Sarah," I said, my voice hoarse, "I need my laptop. And my phone. Liv, you just had brain surgery. The doctor said you need to rest." "This is rest." I said, "This is me finally cleaning house." She understood. She didn't argue. She just handed me the bag. The first call was to my bank. I sat there, propped up on 3 pillows, the pulse oximeter beeping on my finger. "Hi," I said, my voice surprisingly steady. "I need to open a new checking and savings account, solely in my name. Then, I need to transfer the entire balance from the joint savings account ending in 4,521. That was the account I'd funded for years. The one I called the Family Emergency Fund, which had really just become the Megan and Aiden Project Fund. "Yes, ma'am. I can do that? Is there anyone else on the account you'd like to notify?" "No," I said. "They'll find out on their own." Click. The first thread was cut. The second call was to the credit card company. "Hi. I need to remove my name as the primary account holder and co-signer from the card ending in 8,820. Megan's emergency card. The representative clicked away. Okay. Ma'am, just so you're aware, removing your name will make you no longer responsible for the balance, which is currently $8,400. I didn't even flinch. I am aware. Please proceed. And there's a pending charge. The rep added. From ACL Fest merchandise for $1. Lambe, do you authorize? No. I said, I do not. Remove me from the account immediately. Click. The second thread. The last call wasn't to a bank. It was to my lawyer. Hi. I said. It's Olivia. I need you to file the paperwork to immediately revoke the power of attorney I have on file for my parents. Mark and Cynthia. Olivia, is everything okay? Everything is finally becoming okay. I said, just get it done. Today. Click. The main thread. The one that tethered me to their control. I set the phone down. My head was pounding, but my hands were steady. I felt quiet. For the first time in my life, I wasn't anxious about their reaction. I wasn't worried about the fallout. I picked up my phone one last time and looked at the Zelle notification. $4,500. Venue deposit. Urgent. I didn't decline it. I didn't send a message. I just let it sit there. An unanswered request. Floating in the digital silence, I was finally, truly, beginning to understand. The first sign of the storm was a notification from my bank. Attempted charge of $1. 200 from ACL Fest merchandise has been declined. Megan. The second was an angry text from my brother. Aiden, my tuition payment didn't go through. What's going on? The supply line was officially cut. And just like that, the attack began. It came in 3 waves. Just as I expected. Wave 1, the love bombing. This was my mother, Cynthia. She started with a flurry of texts. The kind she sends when she's trying to pretend she's a caring mom. Olivia, baby, are you okay? We're all so worried. You haven't been answering our calls. Your father and I are just sick about this. Please let us know you're all right. P.S. Megan is absolutely frantic. We really need that venue deposit today. Honey, it's urgent. I just stared at the message. The seamless pivot from fake concern to a financial demand, it was almost impressive. When I didn't send the money, wave 2 began, the guilt trip. This was my father. Mark, is sent along. Rambling email. Olivia, your mother is a complete wreck. I haven't seen her this upset in years. After all we've done for you, after all the support we've given, for you to choose now to be so cold, you're tearing this family apart over a little money. You know Megan's entire future. Her dream depends on this. Your actions are incredibly selfish. I didn't reply. So, they unleashed wave 3, the rage. This was Megan. A string of furious, all caps, texts that turned into a screaming voicemail. I cannot believe you. You are trying to sabotage me. You've always been jealous of me. Ever since we were kids. You can't stand that I'm finally getting my chance. So you pull this. You are a cold, misérable personne. And I will never, ever forgive you for this. A year ago, that voicemail would have broken me. I would have called back, crying, apologizing, and I would have sent the money, but I wasn't that person anymore. I wasn't hiding. I wasn't fighting. I was simply employing a strategy I'd learned about in therapy. It's called the Gray Rock Method. My mother called, and this time I answered. She didn't even say hello. Did you get my Zelle request? We're going to lose the deposit. Olivia, my internal monologue was screaming. I just had brain surgery. You went to a concert? You asked me for money while I was unconscious. But what I said, in the most boring, monotone voice I could manage, was, yes, I saw the request. She paused, confused. She was expecting a fight. And, are you sending it? No, I'm not in a position to handle finances right now. I'm still recovering. Recovering, you're well enough to call your lawyer and cut us off. Mark told me what you did. This is betrayal. I took a breath. I understand that you're frustrated about the deposit. That was it. She went silent. I could almost hear the gears grinding in her head. I hadn't yelled. I hadn't cried. I hadn't given her anything to fight against. A narcissus needs supply. They feed on your emotions. Your anger is a meal. Your guilt is a feast. Your tears are a banquet. When you give them nothing, when you just become a boring, dull, gray rock, they starve. Is that all you're going to say? She sputtered. Yes. I have to go now. My doctor said I need to rest. And I hung up. I wasn't just cutting off their money. I was cutting off their food. And I was finally done being their pantry, starving them. It turns out, made them desperate. And desperate people don't just go away, they get louder. Since their direct attacks weren't working, they started a smear campaign. They went indirect. A second cousin I hadn't spoken to in 5 years messaged me, "Hey, I just heard what's going on. So sorry you're not feeling well. Your mom's really worried about your mental state." An old family friend sent my friend Sarah an email saying she'd heard I was unstable after the surgery and that I was lashing out at the whole family. They were trying to build a narrative that I was crazy, vindictive, unwell, that I was the aggressor and they were the poor, concerned victims. That was the last straw. They wanted to attack my stability, my reputation. Fine. I'm a graphic designer. My entire career is built on reputation, clarity, and professionalism. They thought they could handle this like a messy, private family feud. They were wrong. I wasn't going to fight them in the mud of Facebook comments or angry text messages. I was going to take it to the one place I was strongest, LinkedIn. I spent 2 hours in my hospital bed, my head still throbbing, but my hands perfectly steady. I wasn't writing an angry rant. I was composing a professional case study. I started the post. The tone was cool, clear, and corporate. As a professional in a world built on communication, I've been navigating a crisis that highlights a profound lack of basic human empathy and professional ethics. I believe in transparency. So, let's review the data. I laid it all out. Item 1 Ampere screenshot of my text message from the ER gurney. I have a brain aneurysm. I'm going into surgery. The kids are alone. Dime stomped. Item 2 Ampere's screenshot of my sister Megan's Instagram story. Posted 2 hours later. The smiling, dancing video at the ACL festival. Geotagged. Item 3 Ampere's screenshot of the Zelle request from my mother, Cynthia, for $4,500. Received while I was in the ICU. Team Estampet. I wrote, "This is not a family dispute. This is a data set. It shows a pattern of behavior where crisis is met with opportunism and a plea for help is met with a financial demand." Then, I did what they never expected. I tagged them. I tagged every local brand Megan worked with as an influencer. As a partner of yours, is this the kind of authentic lifestyle you endorse? I tagged the prestigious local charity my mother sat on the board of now, as a board member representing community values. Is this the standard of compassion your organization upholds? I tagged my father's real estate firm, where he loved to boast about his integrity. I ended the post with a single, cold line. In my profession, ethics are not optional. It seems, in some families, they are. And then I hit post. I didn't do it for revenge. I did it for the record. They wanted to paint me as unstable. I was going to show them, and the entire world, that I was the most stable, most documented, most prepared person they had ever known. I was just done being quiet about it. The post went live at 7 a.m. By 9 a.m., it was an inferno. It turns out that the professional world hates bad data, and I had provided a feast of it. The first call was from a local marketing executive I'd worked with. "Olivia," she said, her voice stunned. "I just saw your post. I have no words, but I've already forwarded it to the brand manager at 2 of the companies Megan is currently working with. They deserve to know who they're in business with." By noon, Megan's Instagram comments were a dumpster fire. But it wasn't just random trolls. It was colleagues, it was other influencers, it was marketing managers. "How can you post about ACL when your sister is having brain surgery? This is the ugliest thing I've ever seen." One of the local boutiques she represented posted a formal statement. "We are aware of the information circulating regarding Megan. We have terminated our partnership. Effective immediately. Our brand does not align with these values. Then came the call about my parents. The charity board, they were so proud of the one my father used for all his networking, had seen the post. An emergency meeting was called. By 3 p.m. My father, Mark, and my mother, Cynthia, had been asked to resign to avoid bringing undue negative attention to the foundation's work. But the real twist, the part that made me understand this, was never just about neglect, came from Sarah. She had been at my house, organizing my mail, filing my medical bills, literally doing the emotional labor my family should have been doing. She called me, her voice strange and tight. Liv, I found something in your important documents folder. It's a life insurance policy. I was confused. What, yeah? That's from years ago. I think. No. Sarah cut in, her voice cold. I know that, but I also found a renewal notice and a payment receipt. The policy is for $500,000. The beneficiaries are Cynthia, Mark, and Megan, evenly split. Okay, I said slowly, not understanding. Olivia, she said, and I could hear her hands shaking. The payment receipt, they renewed it. The payment cleared 2 days after you were admitted to the ICU. I went silent. The beeping of my heart monitor was the only sound in the room. They hadn't just ignored my text. They hadn't just gone to a festival or demanded money. They had received news of my potentially fatal brain aneurysm, and their first move was to make sure the premium was paid on the policy that would cash out if I died. It wasn't just neglect. It was an investment, a silent, waiting will. That night, my mother called me, screaming. Not about the post, not about the charity board. The bank just called, she shrieked. Hysterical. They're canceling the business loan for Megan's cafe. They cited the public reputational risk of the family. You've ruined us. You've ruined everything. I listened to her rage, to the panic of a gambler who had just lost her final bet. I thought about the insurance policy. I thought about my kids. I thought about the $4,500 Zelle request. No, Mom, I said, and my voice was so calm, it scared me. I didn't ruin anything. I just stopped paying for it. And I hung up. The collapse was total, and it was immediate, without my co-signature. Megan's loft lease was voided. She had to move out. Without the brand sponsorships, her influencer career evaporated. Last I heard, she was renting a room from an old college friend. Without my father's reputable seat on the charity board, his networking dried up. My mother, I heard, stopped going to her social clubs. Ashamed to face the people who had seen the data I'd posted, the bank loan for the cafe was dead. The dream, funded by my life insurance and my savings, was over. And my life became quiet. It was a strange, new, beautiful silence. No more frantic texts demanding money. No more passive-aggressive emails. No more 3 a.m. panic attacks about their next manufactured crisis. It was just peace. Sarah and Daniel and Mr. Henderson became our new constellation, our real family. We started having Sunday dinners, not out of obligation, but just because we wanted to. The money I'd saved, the money that was supposed to fund a cafe I never believed in. I used to open 2 college funds, one for each of my kids. A different kind of investment. Last weekend, we were all in my backyard. Sarah and Daniel were there, their kids playing with mine. Mr. Henderson was showing my son how to grill burgers. The sun was setting, and the air was filled with the sound of laughter. My daughter, the 5-year-old, ran up and just hugged my legs. For no reason. She looked up at me and said, I like our house now. Mommy, it feels safe? And that one word, safe. That was the only apology I ever needed. I looked at the life I had built, not the one I had been forced to carry. I realized the lesson wasn't about revenge. It was about reclaiming my power. It wasn't about being loud. It was about being free. Have you ever had to choose between your family and your own sanity? Share your story in the comments. Your story matters. And if this touched you, Please like and subscribe for more stories about finding your own strength.